Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 97 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Matt Annis of the UW-Stout men's football team. Matt, how's it going? Thanks for joining.
It's going pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're getting close to football season, which is always great. It's one of the best times of year. I love fall. I love the weather. I love that every like Thursday through Sunday you've got football because you get those weird
hmm
like Maction games on like Wednesday, Thursday nights, and then you
Yep.
obviously got Friday night lights and then college and NFL. So it's the best, but it's kind of crazy that the summer's gone by that fast in like what, 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it is. We're gonna have football games on again. It's wild,
hmm
crazy. You gotta be excited.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, like the first part of summer, it wasn't really setting in, but the closer we've gotten to reporting for fall camp and everything, it's just really started to like make me itchy under the skin, pretty much, just to get back out there.
When do you guys report for fall camp?
August 13th.
Oh yeah, that's what is that like 2.5 weeks?
Coming up.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, let's talk a little bit about your recruiting and how you ended up at Stout. Like, when did your recruiting start? Was it junior year of high school?
Yeah, my junior year, I went from like not hearing at all from any schools to getting a text from actually it was Minnesota State Moorhead, their D2 program. And that was like the first thing I heard from anybody. So I pretty much like I wasn't really very bright in the beginning of the recruiting process. I'm like a junior. I hadn't heard anything about it so far, so I just kind of went with it as it went on, and so I just kind of stuck with that school for a while, and then I didn't really reach out to any other schools until like my senior season, and then that's when I started talking to a lot of the other schools in the WIAC and everything, and then that's when Stout came into the picture.
Did you go on a visit and stuff, or did you decide without going to a visit?
Yeah, I went on a visit, and that was like a solid 8 hour drive from my house. So I went on. They had a junior day visit, and then there was a camp that I went to over the summer before my senior year of high school that I also went to. So I did a couple things there, and yeah.
So, I mean, like, was playing college football always something that was on your mind growing up as a kid? You wanted to like go on and play college football?
Oh yeah, from the start. I mean, ever since I had a football in my hands and I saw the guys doing it up in high school and I saw the guys doing it in college and I saw the guys doing it in the league, I'm just like, that's what I want to do. Like I want to do that for as long as I can. So then
Yeah.
once it really like started to sink in that like my abilities could end up taking me to the college level, I started trying to do everything I could to make it there.
Yeah. I mean, and recruiting is it's tough. Like it's such a competitive, right? Like there's only so many spots on every team and there's so many guys that want to get there. So the
hmm
whole thing is stressful and then you got this like life-changing decision to make. Where are you going to go for your school? Where are you going to go to play? Nobody wants to enter the transfer portal, so you want to make the right choice right away. So you got all this stress. You're a junior, senior in high school, and you're trying to figure out your whole life. Like, I mean, it's just wild.
Yeah, it was a lot and like almost like made me like kind of like a wake up, grow up kind of moment to me. It was like
Yeah.
everything just like seemed to happen so fast because like I was balancing my high school sports that I was in, and then on top of that, I had to still try to think about where I wanted to go for school, what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go play. Well, most kids didn't really think about that until like halfway through like their senior year of high school.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you really have to mature, like make these like mature decisions, bigger
hmm
decisions than anyone else has to make. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of stress for a young kid to figure out. Um, but yeah, so you got there and like did you have an idea of like the difference? Like that I like this the level up? Did you kind of like know what you were getting into, or did you really not know like what to expect for a difference?
Um, I mean, going into it, I kind of obviously figured there would be a pretty big difference going from playing high school to college. But my idea that I had at first was like, I mean, it's still college football, but it's D3, and like I see these D1 guys doing it so much differently than like what I would imagine it to be at a D3 program. And then I go through all of them like, holy crap, like we might be D3, but we're a very competitive D3 school. We're doing just as much as D1 programs are doing. We're doing meetings, film, practice, lifting, all that stuff. I mean, it's a full day during fall camp. I mean, wake up in the morning and do football related stuff until you want to go to bed at night so you can get up and do it all again the next day.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody's faster than they were in high school, or like the guys you're going against in high school, they're bigger, they're
Mhm.
stronger, right? Because like some of these seniors or maybe grad transfers or whatever, I mean, these guys are in their mid 20s. And like
Mhm.
when you were a senior in high school, you could have been playing against some kid that was, 15, 16. Like so I mean, like
Mhm.
you're going to the exact opposite all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was a really weird switch up because it went from me being on the field being the biggest, the fastest, the strongest guy out there, and then all of a sudden I'm like bottom of the totem pole. Like everybody I look up at is just like, holy crap, like this guy could kick my butt any moment he wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, here freshmen carry my pads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, how long were your days, I guess? Like getting up in the morning to like when you went to bed at night with football and studying and lifting and all that stuff. Like, how long is your day?
Yeah, so during fall camp, I mean, really all I have to worry about anyway is football. So, I mean, I'd get up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, go eat breakfast, and then we'd have practice from I think it was like 9 to 11:30. And then that would be we had that every day. That was our practice schedule unless something changed. But we'd practice from 9 to 11:30 every day. And then we'd have like from about like 11:30 to 1 usually to get lunch and have like a little bit of free time. Sometimes it would be longer if we didn't have a lift, but we usually did. So we'd end up having uh, free time from 11:30 to 1ish, and then lift, and then after lift we'd have meetings before we'd have like a team walkthrough out on the field again, where we go back out there and kind of rerun everything that we did before in practice, and then also things that we installed in meetings. And then after our team walkthrough, we'd go get team dinner over at the Commons at Stout. Everybody's in there. It's just all football players. It's a good time. And then from there, go over to team meetings and then offensive individual meetings. And then by the time those get done, is usually like 8:30 and 9 o'clock. And then that was usually when me and my buddies would decide we either go to bed or we run to Walmart to go get whatever we need or whatever.
So it's pretty much in fall camp, like football from when you wake up to go to bed, just all day.
Yeah. Yeah, and then during school, it kinda changes a little bit. Obviously, we're, like, in season, practice is at a time that people aren't really gonna have class, so practice usually started at, like, 4, and then, we'd also have lifts that there's different lifting times that are supposed to be built around, like, players being able to find a time that works for them with what their class schedule is. So we'd find a time that works, and then some days would be different than others depending on what our class schedule is like, and then some days we had meetings before practice or whatever it ended up being, or in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to do a lot of balancing between school and getting done with practice and then going to find time to eat food, do my homework, study, whatever it is. And then also have to realize I got football stuff to study too. It's like I might be outside of football designated hours, but I should still be looking at the playbook, watching film, all that, trying to better my game.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of you gotta have really good time management skills. Like as a regular student, you can take a little bit more time to like figure out your groove, but when your sport starts right away and classes start right away as a freshman, you've got to figure it all out like week one. And like if you
Mhm.
don't, you're gonna get left way behind and then you're gonna be twice as stressed. And I mean, it's a lot on your plate. I feel like people don't think about that. Like when they think about college athletes, all they see is the Saturday guys out on the field, and oh, that looks so great. They're playing college football, but they don't see everything else behind the scenes, all that stress and those late nights and the tests and the exams and studying the
Mhm.
playbook and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it just Definitely, if I would look at like what I was thinking my senior year of high school when I committed to Stout, and after my first year at Stout, I'm just like, they're freaking two different levels of what actually happened. Like my expectations going in and looking back now, but overall, I mean, I think having football helped my schedule because I wasn't a college kid that was able to just say, "Oh, I'll just do my homework later, I'll study later." I had to prioritize everything, and every chance that I had to do it, I had to follow that schedule, and I couldn't just keep trying to push things off because I simply didn't have the time to.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard other people say stuff like that. Like being in a sport helps keep them structured. Like they can't be lazy. There's no excuse. You're totally right.
Mhm,
I feel like regular students, it's so easy to procrastinate. But when you're an athlete, you can't. I mean, and you got to keep
mhm,
your grades up too. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to be part of your sport. Like you can't like regular students like whatever. Like a lot of people I feel like their first 2 years maybe they don't try as hard and then they like realize like, oh crap, I need a job in 2 years. So then they kick it in. But when you're
mhm.
an athlete, you got to go hard the whole time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that also shows like how much college athletes like love their sport. Like, why would you go through all that if you didn't love football? Like, you wouldn't put yourself through the stress and like the grind if you didn't love it. Like, I think that really shows how much you love your sport.
Yeah, and that's honestly what I love about it because I mean, I'm surrounded by guys on my team that all have the same passion that I do. Like everybody
Yeah.
wants to be there, everybody wants to show up, everybody wants to work as hard as they can. And I mean, that's just the beauty of it. Because like in high school, you have guys that'll be like that, but then you'll also have the other guys that's probably like ends up being like 50, 60% of the team that could care less what happens.
Yeah, right there
So
because their
it's
parents want them to. My dad played football, so I'm out here. My parents want
mhm,
me to play a sport. I don't really care. I'm just out here to do whatever. Yeah, I mean,
mhm,
yeah, totally get that. And it's got to be better as an athlete when you're surrounded by other people with passion. It makes you want to work harder. And when you're surrounded
mhm.
by lazy people, I mean, then it's easy to become lazy.
Exactly.
So the WIAC, I mean, that's a really, really tough conference. For people who don't know D3 sports, the WIAC, and really it's any sport. Like I've interviewed hockey players from the WIAC, softball players, a lot of people, and every sport is competitive. It doesn't matter. The bottom teams can come and they can play you within a one score, whatever your sport is. Did that like have an impact on your recruiting, the fact that you were going to be playing in a really good conference?
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to when I was talking about having the conversations with Moorhead at first and everything at my first school being a D2 school. I went there, I toured everything, and then I was also talking to Bemidji a little bit, toured over there. And then I started like thinking about the WIAC. I'm like, like these schools are like 7 to 8 hours away from me, but I've been hearing a lot about the WIAC and how they're super competitive, like everywhere. Every single sport, every single team, they're gonna be competitive. And then I started like looking into it more, and like the more I thought about it, I'm like, these schools are like so much closer to where I live, and they seem more competitive from what I've seen. And that made a big impact because, like, first of all, I'm somebody that I like being close to home. I mean, being away at school is nice, but I mean, I'm still an hour and a half away from home if I really ever need to, like, if I ever need anything. So but going in and looking at the WIAC and just like seeing the competition that happened, like it doesn't matter, like teams that were sitting in the middle, they could have ended up beating the people that were second in the conference that exact same year,
Right.
which is like it's crazy because you look at, I mean, even like last year for us at Stout, like we barely lost to lacrosse. And I mean, the only game that really went bad for us was against Whitewater. Other than that, like all of our games with every single team in the WIAC was so competitive down to the wire. It
Yeah.
was just crazy.
And I think it was last year, lacrosse whooped up on NMU. So they whooped up on a D2 school. And I remember I worked when I was at Michigan Tech, I worked at the ticket office and they had this kind of like VIP pavilion for people at the football games. And I was like the guy that stood at the door and like made sure you had a wristband or whatever. So I had a really good view of all the games. And I remember they played Platteville, Tech played Platteville, and I was like, oh, this is a D3 school. Tech's gonna walk all over them. and I feel like they only beat them by like maybe a touchdown field goal. Like they barely beat them, and that was kind
Hmm.
of like a clue for me. Like wow, like they're D3, but I mean this was a really competitive game. And those are both obviously WIAC
Hmm.
schools that you guys play all the time. And there's guys going to NFL teams, signing mini
Yeah.
camp tryouts out of the WIAC. I mean, it's really good football.
Yeah. There's just that linebacker from Platteville that signed with the Bengals, and
Yeah,
he's at their preseason camp and everything now. And it's crazy.
right. And what's his name? Uh, Jake Kumerow, wide receiver, was with the Packers for a while, and I think he was with the Bills. He was out of Whitewater back in the day.
Hmm.
I mean, so there's guys that have come out of this conference and gone to the next level. I mean, it's got to be one of the better D3 football conferences like across the board. Has to be.
Yeah, I mean, even you look at these national rankings that come out preseason, they come out during the season, and they keep getting updated. There's usually at least three WIAC schools that are ranked
Yeah,
in like the top 15.
right. So then when you look at your schedule and you're playing all these top 15 schools, I mean, even if your record isn't awesome, you look at like, okay, we lost to these top 15 schools by a touchdown and we ended up
Hmm.
whatever 6-5 or something. Like that's not a bad year. That's actually a really good year when you look at who you're
Yeah.
playing. Like
Hmm.
definitely good competition. And that's what you want. Like it's better than walking all over people, whooping up on them, and it's good to have competitive games.
Hmm.
So, do you have any big goals for this upcoming season for yourself?
Yeah. So my freshman year, I mean, I had to learn everything. I had to be introduced to a new offense, new people, new coaches, everything. And I think I spent a lot of that time learning. Like it was almost like learning how to play the game again. It felt like just because of how much new stuff was thrown at me. But
Yeah,
now with this next year coming up, I want to really be able to show that I can be a player. Like show like I got recruited here for a reason. I mean, I want to play. So ever since the season's been over, I set that goal for myself that it's no longer me just trying to soak up knowledge and stuff like that. Like I need to bust my butt and like just work hard and do everything that I can to try to get into a position where I can actually see the field.
yeah. You're a running back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be checking the box score, looking for Matt and to see if he's got any rushes and when the season starts.
All right. Sounds good.
So, in like a non-college sports stuff, just kind of talking about you, like growing up, who was your favorite football player? Who'd you look up to, or who'd you like to watch?
Growing up, I was a big Marshawn Lynch guy. I mean, he just ran all over people, and
Yeah,
that's the kind of back that I am. But now, like in the past, like probably like 2 or 3 years, I've been watching a lot of Christian McCaffrey, and like even though we have different play styles, it's still like you see his eyes and his vision in the backfield, and
yeah,
it's crazy because he knows where he's gonna go before he even makes the decision. It seems like
yeah,
he's standing there pre-play and he knows exactly what's gonna happen. He's looking around that's just like the kind of knowledge that like obviously he's the best in the game for the reason. Like he's considered the best running back because he knows how to do all that. But also me being a running back, I can watch his games and try to see what he's trying to see, and then not only be inspired by a guy that's doing it that well, but also learn from it too.
yeah, yeah. He's one of those guys. I feel like when you watch him, it's just kind of like if your mouth's not like your jaw's not to the floor because you're just like in awe of what
Hmm.
he's doing. I mean, it's just like, how did he get there? Did he like teleport? I mean, like, is that
Yeah.
even possible? Like the stuff he does
Hmm.
is just nuts. If he could stay healthy, like he gets in, like
Yeah.
he in Carolina, he had so many injuries. If he would have stayed
Hmm.
healthy, his numbers would really be off the charts. And I mean, they're really good right now, but man, if he would have stayed healthy that whole time, and hopefully he can, because I mean, it's more fun when you get to watch all of those guys. It's the same
Hmm.
thing with like Nick Chubb. Like when he got hurt, it was like that just sucks because you got this like awesome back who's fun to watch,
Hmm.
and he gets hurt, and it's just tough. But yeah, I mean, there's so many guys in the league, and McCaffrey has something over all of them. Like he's like an all-around guy. He can run, he can catch. He's like that
Mhm.
all-purpose back, right? Like Derrick Henry for many years, probably the best just pure rusher. But you're not gonna like throw him a lot of passes. And
Mhm.
you have other guys that are better shifty runners, but Christian McCaffrey's like all of it kind of put into one.
Mhm.
You can do anything you need.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool because like when you're standing in the backfield and you got Derrick Henry, you know if he's getting the ball, it's going to be a downhill rush, just trying to run up the middle, kill
Yep.
somebody. But when you got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, you don't know if he's going to get the ball handed off or not. The inside, you don't know if it's going to be a pitch play to the outside. You don't even know if there's going to be a pre-snap motion where he goes out to the slot or something, and then he cooks one of your best DBs on some kind of route that he runs as a running back.
Yeah. And if you're a defender and you're playing against the 49ers, it really must mess with your head when they start throwing Debo in there and you're like, oh man, is he gonna run it or is he, like
Exactly.
the 49ers, their offensive coordinators, you have a lot of stuff to play with.
Hmm.
I'd be hard as a defender, definitely. So I'm guessing being a Wisconsin guy that you're a Packer fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Die Hard?
I would I would probably rank myself somewhere close to Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, most Packer fans are. I feel like there's not many like low key Packer fans. They're all cheeseheads. They're all crazy. They're all like, would you go to Lambeau in November, like below freezing temps, and sit there and watch a game?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like I feel
mean,
like there's
there's
a lot of people who wouldn't do that for their team, but Packer
oh,
fans
yeah.
always will. It's gonna be sold out. It could be 0 degrees, and it's gonna be sold out. I feel like the only other fans that do that are the Chiefs fans at Arrowhead. I mean, they're like,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah, it's honestly really cool, like, my grandparents, they just got season they're, like, became season ticket holders last season,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I was able to go to a game when, uh, when they played the Chargers in that game, and that was, like, really cool because that was kinda when the Packers, like, had their midseason turnaround, and being there to like see that game was really cool. But then also this this next season, one of the games that I'm going to, it's they're playing the Bears, and it's like dead of winter, and I'm looking forward to going to that so much because like I know I'm gonna be freezing the whole time, but it's gonna be such a good game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Getting a season ticket, like that's a long, long list to wait on. There's people
Hmm.
that wait on that list for years and years and years before they ever see them. It's crazy, but it's cool that they finally got it.
Hmm.
So I ask every Packer fan on the podcast this, and kind of every Packer fan I know, but are you on the Jordan Love train?
I'm 1,000% on the Jordan Love train. I
Oh
mean,
man.
there there's people that, they're just like, "Man, I hate Jordan Love so much," and then he started playing good, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Jordan Love's awesome, like, he's the future of this team," but, like, at first, when they drafted Jordan Love, I was kind of like, "I don't know about that one," and then starting to watch his development and watch as he was going on, it's like, I being a diehard Packer fan, I just, like I kinda, like, feel like I have this emotional attachment to the Packers, and, like, I could feel things with them, I guess.
Yeah,
And it's almost like I could just sense that there was something that Jordan Love was just missing, and then it's like he got that, and now he's playing crazy good.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Packer fan, so that's why I probably have this opinion, but I'm not sold on Jordan Love yet. Like he had one good year. I feel like everyone needs to pump the
Oh, yeah.
brakes. Like people were comparing him to Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Like he's the next Brett Favre, he's the next Aaron Rodgers. Like hold up, okay, he had one good season. How can you compare him to two of the greatest quarterbacks ever yet? Like give him another year. If he has another good season, maybe. But he only had one good full season. I mean, come on. I think we're getting a
Hey,
little ahead of ourselves.
in my opinion, though, I think that anybody that is saying stuff like he had one good season are just scared of the future of Jordan Love. That's just kind of the way I think
Oh,
about it. When I'm in Instagram
oh,
comment sections and people are saying, "Why is everybody just like saying Jordan Love's such a great QB?" And it all ends up being these Bears fans and Vikings fans and Lions fans that are scared for the Packers to just kick their butt twice every year.
it's probably because I can't stand and I'm not a Bears, a Lions, or a Vikings fan. I can't stand the Packers. I love it when the Packers lose. Like I just
Wow.
I was a Packer fan as a little kid because everybody else was. And then I still remember one day I like went in my room and I boxed up all my Packers stuff and I was like, this is going to St. Vinny's. Like I want to pick my own team. I don't want to be a Packer fan just because everybody else is. So I'm a Titans fan. I've been a Titans fan for
You're
years.
oh
And I have like just I can't stand the Packer fans. I love it when they lose. I bought a Lions jersey and then wore it at Thanksgiving, like a Thanksgiving party, just to piss people off. Like
wow.
I also bought it because the jersey was super cheap. I was like, okay, like jerseys are really expensive. It was a Barry Sanders jersey. It's like I feel like I should. I
Okay.
like. I don't even.
I can
I was like, I don't even like the Lions, but it was like $5 at a thrift store, and they also had a Herman Moore jersey. I was like, I jerseys are like 150, $200. I kind of have to buy this. And then I was like, oh, this is perfect. Thanksgiving's right around the corners. And I think there was maybe one other person with a Lions jersey. And then there were like, 20 Packer jerseys at this Thanksgiving party that my parents' friends had. I mean, I just loved it. I mean, I was getting booze and all that, but man, it,
well, I can at least support the Barry Sanders jersey purchase.
yeah.
That's a pretty good jersey to buy then.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like there's certain players in league history. It doesn't matter if you like their team or not. Like, you have to respect the player
Mhm.
for like what they did for the game and how good they were. Like, I mean, there's just certain guys. Doesn't matter what team they played for. Kind of gotta like him. I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers a lot, actually. I mean, I like him more now that he's not a Packer, but like it's hard it's hard to like hate on the game, you know what I mean, for some of these guys.
Yeah, he didn't even have a full year that he was playing. He played for like 8 seconds, and then he's just done. I don't think you
That
can
was
say that
kind
you
of
like him a
sad.
lot more when he's on the Jets, because I
I
mean, he
was
didn't really play a game.
it was sad. If you go back to podcasts leading up to last NFL's, I was picking the Jets to win the Super Bowl. And then I remember sitting on my couch watching that game, and I was like, "Oh, there goes that idea. Maybe Zach Wilson can pull it out."
Zach Wilson is not the guy for that.
He's not the guy for anything. He's a good guy to warm the bench and like hope you don't have to play him. He's that kind of guy.
Make
And,
sure your water bottle's full, all that kind of thing.
right, yeah. Hey, rookie,
Pay him millions of dollars to keep the water bottles full, sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And he's not even he acts like a rookie, but he's not even a rookie. Like that's
Mhm.
he never matured into being like an actually good quarterback. I'm back on the train though for the Jets. Like I don't know, it might be a good Super Bowl pick
Okay.
this year if he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy. I was watching First Take the other day, and Stephen A. said the same thing.
Oh, yeah, he's if they're healthy, Jets are winning the Super Bowl.
Maybe it's not
Hey
going to be the Packers, that's for sure.
oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
I love,
everybody was saying the Cowboys were super powerful, and then look what the Packers did to them in the
yeah.
playoffs,
Well,
and it was embarrassing.
The Cowboys are like every year they're a regular season team. They blow people on the regular
Mhm.
season, and then they get to the playoffs and they just suck. And I love that because my dad's a Cowboys fan. He's always been a Cowboys fan, so it's great. Like watching them just. That was actually one time where I was laughing. I was like, man, yeah. Oh, the Packers just
It
whooped up.
it was a great game too, because you could just tell the guys playing out there were, like, laughing just as much as all the Packers fans at home watching the game.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was wild. I didn't expect that like that much of a blowout. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Oh man, yeah, it'll be a fun NFL season. I'm looking forward to football being back. So, are you Wisconsin Badgers fan too, or
Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be a little bit sadder of a life.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like I have a lot of high hopes leading into each season, but maybe
Yeah,
that's just because I always look at their running backs and, like, I mean, you look at Braylon Allen just being drafted and everything, but, like, every year I'm just like, "Man, Braylon Allen's so good," and then you realize that college football is a lot more than just having a good running back, but with my running back mentality, I'm like, "Oh, man, they got a great running back, they should be fine," but,
yeah. There's optimism though with Luke Fickle. Like, guy's a good coach. Give him a little bit of time. I feel like people
mhm,
judge college coaches too fast. They didn't have a
yep.
horrible year last year, so like give him a chance this year. See what he did with an extra year. I think, I
Hmm.
mean, it's better when like the classic Big Ten teams, like when you got Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, when those teams are all good, the Big Ten is better and college football is better.
Hmm.
Nobody
I
wants
agree.
to watch Michigan or Ohio State roll Wisconsin. Like that's just boring.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Badgers are back. I mean, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I got nothing to worry about right now. I feel like feeling pretty good about our position with the 12 team playoff and the transfers and all that, but I think um some other teams there's definitely some optimism. Like that's I think Wisconsin, like 12 team playoff is great for teams like Wisconsin that they can have a really good conference schedule. They can sneak in to one of
Hmm.
those number 12 spots because you're going to get more than one team from those big conferences.
Yeah, and that's something that I think was a really cool change too, because like you said, it gives teams that also like should have the chance to be in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Like gives them a chance to do it, and it's not like teams getting screwed over out of the playoffs every year.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole model of college football from like the BCS to then the 14 playoff, it was all really stupid. I mean, you look at the College World Series and a crap ton of teams get in. You look at March Madness and you get 68 teams and you look at hockey, I think there's 16 and then you had football, it was like 4. Like what?
Hmm.
That doesn't even make sense. You know those teams in the New Year's 6 bowl games could win a like if they had one more game, they could upset anyone. Like
Hmm.
that's what I think will be awesome. You might get one of those like 12 seed Boise State or somebody from the Mountain West could upset and like make their way, and that it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And why don't we end the episode on the other big sports that's happening? I don't know if you're an Olympics guy, but we got the opening ceremony tomorrow. You a big Olympics guy?
Yeah, I actually my brother is a huge running fan. Like he's big cross country and track guy, and he's been following it all the way since the trials and everything.
Yeah.
And his favorite runner is I'm pretty sure he said he's Norwegian. His name's Jakob Ingebrigtsen, but he's my brother's like obsessed with him, and that's why it's just so funny because now that my brother talks about him all the time, I've been watching a lot of stuff looking out for him. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Olympics are fun. Like there's some off the wall sports that like you can turn on the TV and all of a sudden like somebody's playing handball or like
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like there's like weird stuff, skeet shooting and all this other stuff that's like on the national stage. I mean, I love like beach volleyball because like you got two people running all over and they don't have the hard floor. So I mean, they're like full out diving. You got the
Hmm.
like water rafting stuff with like
Yeah.
those kayaks and all that. That I mean, there's some wild stuff that's really fun to watch. And yeah, running. I mean, I love good track meet, like a good track meet like that where you've got these insanely fast people. It just
Yeah.
blows your mind away.
Yeah, that's always my favorite because I was track was my second best sport in high school, and I mean I didn't have my freshman season when I was in high school, but sophomore, junior, and senior year went to state every year, had great competition and everything, and it's just like it's really cool seeing these people that work so hard to get to the point they are, and then going out and performing at their best, and like you are watching the best people in the world run,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy.
It is. It's really insane when you watch like their form for different stuff, the throwers,
Hmm.
like hurdlers, and how perfect their form is. Like when they go over the hurdle and their head will stay in the same spot over every hurdle because their form is so
Hmm.
perfect. And the long jumpers and just all of it. And it's just mind blowing, especially if you've done one of those sports and then you can watch somebody do
Hmm.
it. Just same thing with like Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that. Like when you play football and you watch somebody do it, you know, you're just in awe. So when you're a runner and you can watch some of these people, it's just wild. It's definitely fun too because the I mean Team
Hmm.
USA obviously is pretty good. I feel like in the Olympics, definitely always favorites in a lot of events. That's always it's always good to watch USA get some gold medals.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to look forward to, and their basketball team this year too. If they can figure out how to work together, I mean, I think it's pretty much impossible for them to lose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they should. Like, you look at their talent. Like, I think it was Canada. They got some good guys on their team, but a lot of the other teams, it's just like one or two guys. I mean, you've got like Giannis and his brother on Greece, but like they don't have the depth. And you've got Jokic and
Hmm.
that other guy. I mean, so you got like just a lot of these teams. They've only got a couple of guys. You got Wagner and Schroeder on Germany, but they don't have the depth. So if Team USA can learn to,
Hmm.
like you said, work together, they've got more talent than
Exactly.
anybody else.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, it should be fun. Definitely should be. So appreciate you coming on the podcast, Matt. Definitely have to be checking out some stout football this fall. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
you
appreciate
should.
you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.